Welcome to the ARC-AGI-3 agent tutorial. In this video, we're going to review how to clone the ARC-AGI agent's GitHub repo, make your first template, run it against your first ARC-AGI-3 game, and view your replay. Now, if you're viewing this before the middle of August 2025, there is also an agent competition that's going on. And at the end of this video, we'll talk about submission to that competition. And well, if it's after August 2025, you can still submit. It just won't be for the contest period. Now, let's jump into it. First thing you're going to want to do to get started is head over to 3.arcprize.org. Now here what you're going to see is you're going to see that you can play one of our 3 preview games. There will be 6 depending on the time that you're seeing this. There's 3 first public ones, and then there'll be 3 private ones which will go public eventually. Now if you want to get started building agents, what you're going to do is you're going to click over on the docs over here, and this is going to be your home base where you're going to start with everything off. So if you don't have UV installed, you want to get that going. And then the next thing you're going to do is let's go ahead and copy this command here. This is just going to clone the repo for us, and then we're going to CC or CD right into it. Cool, we have everything that we need. Let's CD into it. Yep, that looks like everything. Now let's see what the next command is. We're going to copy our example environment and make the real env for it. Sounds good. And then let's take a look at that real env. Nice. So you can see here we have a few different parameters here. The most important one that you're going to want to do though is you're going to want to set your ARC API key right here. Now where you're going to get that is once you log in, and you can log in either with Google or with GitHub, you're going to want to go down to your API key section. Now you may have multiple keys here. It doesn't matter which one you use as long as it's there and it's valid, it works. I'm going to go ahead and copy this first one, and then let me go in here and let me replace this. Okay, that looks great. Now that we have that, let's go ahead back to our docs. Let's see what the next command is. So we're going to run our first agent. Now I'm going to copy this over, but I'm not going to run it quite yet. Let's talk about what's going on here. So in this run, we're going to run main.py, which we'll look at in a second here. And the agent we're going to run is random. Now this is important here because we have a lot of different agent templates. Now these agent templates, some are LLM agents, some are reasoning agents. This one's super simple because it's just a random agent. And what we're going to do is let's go look at it here, but let's talk about the last parameter first. The game we're going to be playing is Locksmith. Now, because you're specifying a game, this is going to correspond to the game that you see right here. We're going to play Locksmith. If you don't specify a game, well, it's going to run against all of them, and it's going to run those in parallel here. So for all the games that you have access to. Now, before we go ahead and run this, let's go back to the docs, and I actually want to show you what this random agent looks like and what it takes to edit it. So we'll go over to the agents repo. Let's go to agents. I'm going to go to template, and here's the random agent that we have right here. Now, if I'm going to zoom in on here, there's actually 2 really important things. There's only 2 functions you need to switch here. This is a random agent. It inherits from the base agent class. Yep, that's all expected. That's what we want. The first function is done. Now, this is one of the functions you're going to be editing. Is done just means, well, literally what it says, decide if the agent is done playing the game or not. You could, this is either because the win condition is there, or you want to reset the level. All right. Now, the juicy action, this is the really important one, is choose action. So the way that the API works is you're going to get a series of frames to your agent, and you need to look at those frames and decide which action you want to do. And the action space for these is all just going to be an enum, and this is going to be one of the game actions, and it's going to be an integer between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now 1 through 5 are going to be basic actions. That's just when you submit the action itself. But action 6, that's what we call a complex action. And that is going to not only submit the action that you say you want action 6, but it's also going to take an XY coordinate. And that's going to correspond to the XY coordinates on the grid. And that simulates a click. So it's like, hey, go click on that pixel that you have from there. So when you go and make your own agent, which we'll talk about here in a second, you're just going to a really good, easy starting point is either going and cloning the LLM agent that we have, or just go clone this random agent and edit, choose action, and get done. And then you're going to be good to go and set from there. So let's go back to our terminal here. Let me go back to these docs. Okay, great. And so what we're going to do now is let's go ahead and run this command and see what happens. Cool. So it's running through here, and what I want to go through this. The game list is Locksmith because that's all that we have access to right now. You're going to have access to more of those, and it's going to create a new recording. Now you may be wondering, how is it creating a new recording here? Well, in main.py, we're actually taking advantage of what we call a swarm. Now swarm does a lot of abstractions for us, and when I say that, what I mean is in order to play a game, you need to associate it with a scorecard, and a scorecard is just a series of games that is bundled up together, and so you can aggregate your scores and segment them from there. So it's going to create a scorecard for you. It's going to start playing the games, and then it's actually going to close the scorecard for you that says, hey, I'm all done playing games for this one. You of course can do that manually. All all the documentation is in our API reference, but if not, just use a swarm and just have it do it for you. Doing it in main is really easy to do it. So we have game list, locksmith, creating a new recording for locksmith. Yep, that sounds good. This is where the new recording is. These are just JSON lines. And so this actually saves locally for if you wanted to look at your recording on your local computer. But we'll talk about why you might not want to do that in just a second here. Then what we get is that all the games start with a reset, basically just say the game is starting. And then it looks like the random agent chose action 1. Chose action 5, chose action 3, went all the way down, blah, 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 went all the way down here. And we actually had a custom, we stopped at 80 actions, so it didn't keep on going. And then it says exited 80 actions. Yep. You can undo this if you'd like for your agent, no problem at all. And then what we have is we get the final scorecard report. So this says, how did the agent actually do on the game that you had? So we had 1 total play. It scored 0 points, which we'll look at the replay in just a second here. Didn't finish. Total actions 80, no resets. Source URL. And then what's kind of cool here is for each one of your agents, you can add a tag to the agent. Now, this is important because let's just say you have multiple versions of a different agent. Well, just throw whatever tag you want to remember. This could be like, version 5.8 final dot 2 don't touch or something like that, right? So you can go tags from there. You get a card ID, which is your scorecard ID, and then this is your API key associated with that scorecard ID. And then here is the important part. You can go view your scorecard online. So because you're hitting the API, we're keeping track of this, so it's really easy for you to remember what you did. Let's go ahead and copy this URL, and then I'm going to go back over here and go arcprize.org scorecards. And here is my scorecard of the random agent that I just played. Now you'll see here are my tags, here's my ID, here are my actions and everything. And here's the one game that I played. Now, if you played multiple games, or say you played locksmith multiple times, well, it would appear here through with multiple lines, but I only have one of them right now. And here's the important part is under actions, you get a little play button right here. And if you go click on that play button, what you get, let me pause this, what you get is you get the replay of Locksmith as you played it, which is really, really cool. So you can go back and easily see what did your agent do, right? And again, remember, this is all available locally as well, in case you wanted to programmatically go and get this. Now, we also have a reasoning log over here. Now, this reasoning log logs, or let me rephrase. Beforehand, when I said you submit an action, you also have the option to submit a reasoning log alongside that action. So the reasoning log could be a good place to put your train of thought. It could be a good place to put your LLM, whatever rationale you wanted for that. And let's see where this was. So here we go. So action.reasoning, when you submit an action, you can say my reason, RNG said so, or whatever, or this action.reasoning, if it was a simple one, RNG random agent told me to pick action.value, and then here we go. You have that right here. So let's continue. Let's see what this random agent was doing. It's basically just going all over the place. It's not really doing much. It's not even trying to play locksmith. There it is. It died. It's going through. We're on 50. We're almost done with this. Let's see if it gets anywhere. It's a couple action 6s. Doesn't do anything. So there you go. That's more or less what we're seeing right here. Now, if you're watching this before August 2025, well, there's an agent competition that's going on here. And now this is a $10,000 prize pool. We're throwing this because we think that we're pretty good at templates, but we know that we're not the best at this. And we want to see what the community can do. And so our call to action to you is if you want to build agents that try to beat ARC-AGI-3, there's a prize pool and glory waiting for those who end up trying to go and do it. Now, if it's after August 2025, well, the competition's closed for it, but we would love to still see your agents, and that's a great way to interact with ARC Prize Foundation as an organization. Throw us your agent. We'd love to see what it was, and we can go and help you test on it on multiple games and go from there. So if you want to submit to the competition, well, we have a Google form here, and this is the ARC-AGI agent submission right here. Now, the important part is that we are just going to evaluate one agent per team. Now, with that, we're just going to ask you a couple details about yourself, your primary email, and then this is the important part here. So we're going to ask you for a public repo URL. So rather than throw up a PR into the agent API, we just want you to point us towards your code that you're using. Now, if it's during the competition, you don't have to open source the code quite yet because you may not want to show others what you've been working on. However, right when submissions close, we're going to ask people to open source, and all these dates are up on the website. You can go and see it. And now, if you're not interested in open sourcing, I applaud you, and I really enjoy the energy that you have for this, but it's not necessarily what we're looking for the competition. So we'll ask you to you won't be eligible for a prize. We'll put it that way. We're also going to ask you for your scorecard URL, which is associated to the agent that you just had, this what we just looked at. If you have a fun nickname for your agent, great. We'd love to know what that is. And then team members and links, just let us know who's on your team and who you'd like us to give attribution to when we're quoting you. approximate cost and compute. There's a lot of rules for this. I don't want to state these. You can go to the website and go check it out. And then make sure that the code in README is very digestible. If we have a hard time running your code, we're not going to run it, basically. You saw how it was a one-liner to run that agent. We expect the same of your code, just a one-liner. You can look at how to add your agent to the catalog right on the agents repo right there. So it's really easy for us to go run. And then an acknowledgement and release and anything else we should know, all that good stuff. Once you go and submit that, we're going to go look at the top agents, and then we're going to go run those against the private games that we have. The reason why we do that is because we don't want to reward any agents that are overfit to the public data. That's not really in the spirit of the competition and what we're looking for here. So we only want agents that are going to attempt to generalize to the private data. Now we'll go through and we'll see which the top agents are. We'll run those against the private. We will look at the commit that was submitted before the submission was over, and then we'll go from there. So hope that tutorial helped. That's a really easy way to get started with the random agent, and so you can start to tinker on your own and submit to the competition. We are really excited to see what you do, and please reach out to team@arcprize.org or on Twitter if you have any questions. We'll see you later.